Should I be go like 100% honest, or should I be making like
Give me give me
very clear concept and theme should be the most important thing if you deliver a song. It's quite unique among all the K-pop bands because they mainly been doing the UK garage. They want it to be more like sharpen the edge of being like this sophisticated kind of vibe. I think I hit rock bottom at that point. I learned a lot, just how to learn how to endure all this stuff. In the West, it's most like the craftsmanship, right? I mean, if a client asks for this, then you just deliver this.
Yeah.
In Asia, it's not like that. You always need to deliver more. Yeah, I know some people doesn't like me for them.
No, that's
But,
great.
well,
you need it.
yeah.
If you're, it's the only way you're gonna get better. It's the only way you're gonna get
Right.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the most important thing that I care about my writers. I mean, so that they can continue their career in this business.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the video. Today we are very fortunate to have Daniel Kim on the channel, and he's just had a brand new release with SF9. He co-wrote Tear Drop. We talk about Dan's approach to writing Tear Drop, some of his musical career and history, his publishing company, his general advice, and he answers some of your questions that you sent in earlier. Daniel Kim is a producer, songwriter, arranger, engineer, lyricist, and vocalist who hails from Seoul, South Korea. He primarily works in the K-pop market as well as the J and C-pop ones too. Alongside his songwriting, he A&Rs on behalf of several entertainment companies and runs his own music publishing company, Melogram. Daniel's catalogue and credits are incredibly vast, having written songs for SF9, Monsta X, LOONA, Taemin, MCND, EXO, EXO-CBX, Twice, The Boyz, GOT7, MissA, Cravity, Drippin, Victon, Golden Child, The Rampage, Rocket Girls, Fantastics, and many more. On a personal note, I'm very fortunate and grateful to have Melogram as a publisher, and I get to regularly write with Dan on a lot of my K-pop pitches. Dan has taught me a lot of what I know about K-pop songwriting and production, so definitely pay close attention to what he has to say in this interview. So I just want to say off the bat, oh man, I can't talk. I can't talk. Dan, I just want to say congrats on your latest release with SF9. And you didn't just get
Thanks.
the A-side Tear Drop, but you also wrote Believer and Fanatic. And just on a personal note, I still really enjoy Good Guy. That's still on my playlist since release. How have you been finding the feedback of the tracks? Like, how's the fans been reacting to the music so far?
Yeah, I think it is pretty amazing, and with all the videos and stuff, and I can definitely see the people going crazy about it. And it's such a special song. I think it's a slight different from the other releases. It's even more emotional and even more melancholic and stuff like that. So I think yeah, people quite enjoying it. They've been doing like a mature concept for quite a while. They want it to be more like sharpen the edge of being like this sophisticated kind of vibe they've been doing. I mean, it's quite unique among all the K-pop bands because they mainly been doing the UK garage based songs in track wise, and with like a super emotional and melancholic, but still have this like a pack full of impact in the song. So I think they've been building this public image quite well, and they are like trying to do more of these things over and over, I guess.
What was the process from start to finish? Because you were top line in this production, right?
Yes, I was a top liner, and I did it. I mean, again with Gig Boy Al.
Oh yeah, who's
from
another
Manchester.
British, yeah.
Yeah. That's why the music is coming like UK garage, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah. Actually, this song was made from an online camp that we did with FNC Entertainment. I collected like bunch of tracks from like many writers, many producers, and let them pick which one they like the most. And it was again L's track. It was actually quite special track. I mean, even it was still like having this UK garage type of vibe. It had like very unique bass line, and still have those like melancholy going on the background of the song, but still like keeping some certain amount of brightness in it. So I thought that hit their minds when they heard it, and then they wanted me to write on it, so I had to do it. And the very funny thing is that they always come up with a couple of hook ideas, like not like the melodic stuff. They always come up with a couple of words that they want me to use in the song. So I have to use it like the main hook idea, or the lyrical content just came first to me. It's not like a full lyrics, but it's like just a couple of words as I say it. And I just try to come up with my own idea, like, try to twist the words into a melody kind of thing to, complete the song. And then this is how the song turned out in the end.
Awesome. Yeah, and I can imagine that could be quite tricky, especially with top line, because generally I find with top liners, it's melody first and then it's lyric second, but you've been given the lyric first, so you have to bend around certain syllables using, right?
I think, though, there's a reason they do it is because they want me to materialize what they think. I mean, the special way they want me to do, and then this is the way they, experiment. This is how I felt, and then it's actually quite fun as well, because those words I would not usually use any of my demo songs, so I had to just think more than usual. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're in a gym and your trainer always wanted to put more weights on your
you're like,
machine
please
and
don't.
stuff like that.
Oh wait, it's okay in the big picture.
I'm still feeling the sore, but I have to keep on right now. Right? Still really, really fun, and fulfills. It feels like I'm fulfilling some sort of my creativity in a very good way, I think.
That's great to hear. With Teardrop, are there any go-to classic Dan Kim writing techniques that we can hear, and now they planted throughout the other tracks as well?
I think I have a couple of those tricks, but it's quite like simple, very straightforward. I mean, I always pursue the simplicity when it comes to the melody making. I mean, if it is too complicated, I mean, it's hard to memorize the melody lines. So I always focus on how do I repeat things in very clever way, or sometimes it's not really clever. I just keep on repeating things, and that works. I think that's the key of making the, how to put it, the modern pop songs. I mean you can even find those patterns from Beatles songs as well. Like they do a lot of repetitions in their songs. I find, even though the whole vibe is very different, but I think that's the key of making hit songs, being repetitive over and over. I mean, more the better all the time.
And maybe like presenting that repetition in new and different ways as the song progresses as well. You
can just put a very small changes on the way, but it's keeping the whole structure and whole idea as it is. Yeah. There's a lot of benefits by doing this. One is, of course, it's making the song like super memorable. And the second thing is you can achieve a good efficiency, Yeah. I mean, when I record the vocals, and if you just have too much variety in a top line, then you have to keep on recording the same thing or like a very different thing over and over. But if you have like good repetition and you just copy and paste everything, your working hours, like,
For everyone who's watching at home, I want to talk a bit about your career sort of history and how you got into everything. So I first heard of you when we were introduced to through my old publisher, and I sent you a track, and then I got the top line back, and it was really cool. But we actually met in person at that songwriting camp from Sound Graphics in Stockholm, Sweden last year. So that's how I met you. But for everyone at home,
well, at first I just wanted to be in music school to start my career in music, because I didn't really have any connections into this industry. I tried to become a guitarist, but it was almost impossible to be one of them in Korea, because there's no rock scenes, like major rock scenes in Korea. So I decided to go to Japan, which is the most closest country, and then comparatively cheaper when it comes to the tutoring fee of the school. I was applied for the school as a songwriter.
Okay.
Songwriter course, yeah. And then I realized after 1 year, there's nothing to learn from songwriter's course. So I decided to change to a mixing engineer course, kind of like that. And then I think, hey, I did learn a lot of those audio techniques, mostly the fundamental things, including how to, just balance everything and how to organize your workflows and stuff like that from those fundamental things. And I could just adapt myself into more new, fresh knowledges and try to pick up more things myself.
So I know that you actually pursued a metal band yourself in Japan.
Yeah, it was a super failure because, well, we were trying to debut, and for the most of the new bands, there was a lot of clashes of egos.
Classic.
And yep. And I was the only Korean guy in there, and it was even more harder for me because my language was not really fluent back then. And sort of the whole those stuff. I mean, but to be honest, it was really hard time for me. I think I hit rock bottom at that point. And but I learned a lot, just how to endure all those stuffs. And then
I think one of those points in your career are like fundamental learning points in your entire adult life, isn't it? Because I think when you're that age, I imagine you were around your early 20s when this was happening, but for me in my early 20s I had a big wake up moment where you realize that you are not invincible. It's a massive humbling experience when you have one of those moments happen to you in your career, and it's kind of like it breaks you down and you have to kind of rebuild yourself back up again, don't you?
I believe in God, and then God does that sort of thing on purpose. I mean, to break you down, to rebuild you up and into a more decent person.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Yeah, I believe that period was kind of like that to me.
So what happened after that? So obviously you had the demise of the metal band. So when was there more of a transition moving effectively to K-pop? Because metal... Unless we're talking about niche outliers like Dreamcatcher, metal and K-pop aren't really related. So how did it move from the metal band to K-pop?
While doing this metal stuff, I was always like opening my ears to those pop acts. I mean, they're like in general, and not only the K-pop. Maybe I was also listening to some J-pop things. Of course, I listened mostly the US or UK pops in the most of the time, but I could realize that this K-pop thing was like changing very rapidly at that point. It was about like 2008, 9, 7. That was, I think that was the period where the K-pop had like huge turnaround. And I just realized that, wow, this is getting really different. It's not the K-pop that I used to know, in my back in the day. So I started to feel very huge interest in that genre, and started to produce some of that while I was doing this metal stuff. And then I found it was really fun. After the band was over, that I just realized that I'm not like a band kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel more comfortable when I was alone, and when I was like focusing on my own music. And also I was like very tired of those like loud guitar sounds and stuff.
How are you able to effectively get the right people listening to your K-pop songs in the early days?
Well, I chose very primitive way in the very first place. In 2012, I moved back to Seoul and started to visit those labels without even knowing who am I going to be meeting. I just knocked on their door and try to send in some CDs. Yeah, that worked actually for me. I mean, I visited like 20 labels, but only one label answered. And then they decided to buy one of my songs, and that was my debut. It was a girl band, which was a little popular back then, called Secret. and it was one of the album track, and it was kind of ballad, like very classic influenced, like classical music influenced ballad song. And they yeah, that was my the first K-pop debut. And then after then I get to do another song with them for BIP, which is now disbanded. Yeah.
And then it just kind of snowballed from there. You just kept writing, you kept producing, kept putting tracks out.
Yeah, I was kept on writing, but it was not like in a shape of snowball at that point, because I mean, I was a rookie, and after those 2 cuts there was quite a struggle. I think the first 2 cuts were very lucky for me, and then I think I haven't had like cuts for over an year after then.
Really?
Like,
wow,
yeah, because I mean, when you just start your career in the industry and you get to be under huge pressure, I mean, after you sell a song, and then you want more, right? And then this kind of mindset like controls you over, like, you need to sell song, you need to sell song, you need to be successful kind of mindset. And that's a huge pressure, and then nothing comes out under that kind of pressure, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I know that. I'd like to move on to your company, Melogram. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you set it up about 2 to 3 years ago. What was why did you decide to set up a publishing company in the first place?
Should I be like 100% honest, or should I be making like?
Give me give me 2 answers. And I'll let you know.
Okay, I mean,
I think you should be honest.
All right, then let's say I have 2 reasons. The first was my accountant told me that I have to open a company to reduce my tax.
Oh my God. Fair enough, man. That's business. That's
okay.
Business. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, they drastically reduced my tax because my income was getting better. And then the second one was I always wanted to find some ways to help my fellow musicians. I mean, because I have many friends in Korea and other overseas, but I as far as I know, many of them like really struggling, as I did back in the days. I mean, some of them like haven't had any cuts for like many years, and like having difficulties when making money and stuff. And then I wanted to help, but I mean, if you're an individual writer, there could be some limits if you want to do that. But if you're a company, there's more options for you to help them in many creative ways and stuff, and I can promote them as a company, as my writers and stuff like that. And
all right, that's good to hear. For anyone who's a writer, what should they look out for if they're trying to find a publisher? Are there any good signs to look out for, or any bad red flag signs that writers should look out for when choosing a publisher? Actually,
I don't have that many experiences when it comes to signing publishers, because my first publisher was Universal Music, and I'm still stuck in that Universal feeling. I really like them, the way they do to me, and then all the benefits they provide to my company and as well. So it's really hard to find if someone is honest or not, right?
Yeah.
Only advice that I can provide is not to be too eager on signing. You need to think more thoroughly and try to read thoroughly of your contract. So I find many people, even some of my writers, doesn't even read the contract before they sign it, and I was always telling them to read it thoroughly. Try to see if there's something you don't like, and let me know what you don't like, so we can adjust. Kind of like that. So yeah, that would be my only advice when it comes to signing a publisher.
I think my opinion as a writer is not to sign anything that's like locks you in for too long. I think if it's your first publishing deal and you're in a 10-year contract, for example.
No, that is not really right. That's not right.
Yeah. What would you say is a good sort of amount of time to be signed to a publisher then?
Initially, it should be like 2 to 3 years, I think. Maybe 5 if max says.
Yeah.
If you really like the publisher, then you can go for like 5 years.
So what are the most common problems you hear when people send in their tracks for leads and briefs?
they send out a song, let's say Good Guy, and if I send those leads to like 20 writers, like then I get 15 Good Guy 2, Good Guy 3. So if you know what I mean. Yeah, 15 of them, and that's not what they want.
I feel like it might be just the way that Westerners interpret the email, because I think we take stuff literal. Like there's no room for interpretation. You know, this is direct language. You're saying you want this, we'll give you this. And I know we talked about this before, but maybe in Korea and Asia, there's a lot more space for interpretation.
In the West, it's most like the craftsmanship, right? I mean, if a client asks for this, then you just deliver this.
Yeah.
In Asia, it's not like that. You always need to deliver more, and you need to be really creative on what you do. And then mostly they say, this is A, this is what I want. And you need to deliver A plus maybe to Z, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, over deliver.
You need to be really creative. I mean, it should be totally different thing, but you need to hit the spot. So it's very difficult.
Okay, so what are the top 3 things A&R people want to hear when they get a song sent to them?
Top 3 things. Well, if I say very clear concept and theme should be the most important thing if you deliver a song. And then second of all is, I think it's a hook. I mean, hook idea. I mean, it should be really memorable. I mean, many songs I find after you're listening to it and you don't get to remember anything, that's the worst case. I mean, you need to have at least one thing to remember to stand out. And the other 3 is, I think, nice delivery and a mix. I mean, that's just not really, that's very optional stuff for me. I mean, it's really case by case. Some client doesn't really care, but some people really like to have the whole thing in the first place. Yeah, I think the first 2 is very important.
Awesome. Okay. And for the future of Melogram, what's the goal? What's the dream for Melogram in the future?
Well, to make everyone rich.
That's a great goal.
Well, I mean, yeah, actually, I've been focusing more on like surviving, as I said to you before. That's the most important thing that I care about my writers. I mean, so that they can continue their career in this business in a healthier way, not like, wasting their time and stuff. That's the important, biggest goal ever of Melogram. And there was a purpose, one of the purpose that I started this company. If there's many hits come out from this company, it will be awesome. But the most important thing is to, be happy and survive nicely.
Awesome. Yeah. And there's definitely been a huge progression over the last kind of year or so with Melogram, as I know some of the more rookie writers are now starting to get really, really big cuts coming in. And it's just like whole kind of progression of the company as well as the writer that's really cool to see. Yeah, it's a really cool thing to be a part of. It's really, really cool. So, excited for it. Okay. What are your top 3 tips for intermediate producers who want to start getting cuts and writing for K-pop groups? Top 3.
If you're an intermediate, I would suggest not to be too much obsessed of the idea of having cuts. If you're an intermediate, you're not there, obviously, right? Your skill is not really there. So you should be more focused on being like achieving top class writing skills before having your first cut, because the competition is getting even harder. It's throughout this Corona thing. I mean, people like, that's what I feel. I mean, this competition got really, really harder, even for myself. This Corona locked everything up inside of their house, making music, you know. So I think these labels are getting even more songs than ever before. So the competition, because of the competition, you should be like grinding more to sharpen up your skills. That would be the first thing. And second thing I would suggest is to team up with better people, better ones, not like intermediate. No, it's not gonna work. I mean, you need to learn stuff. So if you're gonna learn stuff, you need to team up with someone better than yourself. And the third advice is to I don't know, maybe it could also be involved in the second advice, but you need to find the right publisher to get right advices upon your stuff. Yeah, the right feedback is always crucial, I think.
Definitely. That was one thing that took me back when we started working together, is you're super nice, but you're very direct, and you were like, this does not work. And it's great. It's exactly what you need, because I don't think you want to be told, sounds cool, bro, what's next? Like, that's just not helpful. So I think, you know, I really appreciate it when you're very direct. You're very nice, but it's very direct. Like, don't do this, change this.
Yeah, I know. Some people doesn't like me for them.
No, that's great. Well, you need it. Yeah. If you're just the only way you're gonna get better. It's the only way you're gonna get better. Yeah.
But well, it works for a certain type of people, I think. I mean, the people with super big egos that don't really, you know, take it in. No. Yeah.
So this one was a real personal question that I would have loved to have heard the answer to a couple of years ago. How many songs do producers generally need to write before they get a cut? Like, what's the percentage cut rate?
100, I would say. Just 100.
100 tracks, okay.
Yeah, 100 tracks with top lines. I mean, the full song, it has to be 100 before you get like meaningful first cut. I mean, you can have something itty bitty stuff on the way, but the real good cuts happening almost like 100 songs in your database. I'm writing tons of songs a year.
Yeah, you're doing insane.
But yeah.
I think for me, it's I'm currently just approaching 80 tracks, and I still have no cuts, public releases yet. So that's kind of, for people at home, that's kind of a rough sort of estimate as well. Obviously some songs are better than others. Some, you know, as I got more experience, the songs are getting better. And also I'm a producer, and, you know, top liners will get generally a higher percent rate because they're just able to fire out more tracks than a producer is.
Yeah, maybe I'm generalizing too much, but that's what I've been hearing from many industry people as well, ever since when I was a rookie. So yeah, that would be kind of correct, I think. I mean, many of my writers also like following that rule. I mean, because many of them like starting from rookies when they signed to Melogram and stuff, and then it takes quite a lot amount of time, honestly, like 1 to 2 years if you're fast enough. Well, maybe some take a little more, but well, if you're consistent on what you do, well, you will achieve it. I mean, that happened to me and happening to the others. So yeah, just believe in yourself, just keep on going. It would be the only way, I guess.
Okay, so what the difference is between a good producer and then a great producer, like that top 10% difference, what have you noticed in the greatest producers? What do they do that good producers don't do?
I think the great producers knows how to make character on each songs, and not good producer or like intermediate producers always ends up with like very generic stuff. It's really hard to teach to, you know, make your songs like distinctive with the characters and stuff. You need to learn it by yourself because everyone has different styles. So great producers knows how to do it through their like long experiences, or maybe some of them are like genius in their nature. Well, that will be the huge difference.
All right, so I asked you guys to send in your questions for Daniel, and we got a few from the Discord community and a few from the YouTube community. So first question is from Shrinjay from the Discord community, and he'd like to know, when writing or mixing, what are the key points or things you often / always make sure are in the track? Sort of like a checklist.
for the mix, I don't actually have such checklists. I mean, I don't I don't work like to in a complicated ways. I just do things. Okay, just two questions to myself. Is it simple? Is it memorable? And if it has to have another one, then is it fun?
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I having fun is the most important thing when I'm writing. And for the mix, I mean, it's a different skill set from writing, I mean, mixing, right? Always focus on like the bottom area of the mix when it comes to the frequency and stuff. I like the kicks to be huge. I like the bass to be really thick and fat. I mean, that's the...
I think that's like most producers, isn't it? It's just you got to have
really?
the kick and bass like sounding great, and that's
yeah. But I think I find my mix is more extreme in some ways. I mean, when I listen through the latest demos that I made.
So this one is from Ice. What was the inspiration in writing Chungha's Bicycle, or how did it come about composing the song, since it's pretty out of her style from before?
Actually, it started from a very simple melody that came into my mind while I was having a holiday in Greece, Santorini.
Oh,
it was a really hot summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just like, you know, ringing in my head. And so I had to record it in my iPhone. And when I was back in home and I started to work on that idea, I laid some bass lines around it and try to figure out which chord was it and stuff like that. But surprisingly, I ended up not using that melody in the final product. I just had to get rid of it because it was like very disturbing, the main top line idea. I remember that melody was like like very stupid, you know, like a very ethnic kind of instrument. They're going like and I recorded it down and distorted it and everything, and I try to build up everything, stuff like that. Yeah, that was the procedure. And then I kept the track for quite a while, because after my holiday we were about to have a camp in Taipei with a joint venture with my Taiwanese partner called Jeremy here, and we were having this annual camp events every year, and I was holding that track for that event, and we brought in many writers from Sweden, England, and Korea or Japan. And on the very last day of that camp, I was sitting in a room with Jeremy and Dawn Electra from UK, and played the track. They liked it and started to play around with it. Actually, we were like pretty much joking around for like 2 hours with the track, and it somehow ended up like that. So well, it was very fun, you know. As I said, it was fun. So well,
yeah, man, that's so important.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, very important.
All right, this one is from Jay Rotter. Where do you see the trends in K-pop going in the near future?
Well, I think it is getting quite obvious because of this current situation, this Corona thing. I mean, it's been around for almost 2 years, right? Year and a half. It's getting 2 years, I think. So, you know, I find many people around the world getting exhausted, and maybe some people are depressed by that, including myself. I'm a little depressed now.
Yeah.
So I want to hear something more cheerful and energetic or bright, or nothing too complicated, nothing too difficult. So yeah, that will form up the future trend, not only the K-pop, maybe the whole trend in the global wise. A few clients of mine started to send out those leads, like looking for brighter songs and energetic, cheerful, or something encourages you kind of like vibe. So I think that will be the next trend for maybe 1 or 2 years, I guess.
All right, this one is from Sora. Along the lines of the most recent trend of major producers exclusively producing groups like Black Eyed Pilsung, Stacey, and Shin Sadong Tiger's Try B, do you think you would ever want to produce your own group? If so, what concept would you go for? He just wanted to add as well that Sweet Crazy Love is one of his favorite LOONA songs, if not the favorite song in existence.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. I haven't thought about that kind of future, because I don't know, it's kind of risky business to do, you know. And but well, if that really happens to myself, I would love to have that sort of opportunity, of course, to produce like exclusive artists and then do my own stuff. But well, if that really happens, I would not do groups, surprisingly,
Oh,
because yeah, I mean, I've been working for the groups for whole career of my life.
yeah.
I would like to try more solo stuff instead, something different.
What musical direction? Because I know you had you had the metal R&B idea, but,
Yeah, that'd be
as
great.
for fun, right? But what would what would your direction be for the solo artist? You think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Anything cool. Maybe if it is solo, maybe I should study more of those solo projects. Maybe I like J Park or Charlie Puth kind of style, more melodic, more swaggish kind of stuff. It doesn't involve too much of this choreographies. Maybe it will
Mm,
depress. Maybe some K-pop fans does not like that, but
yeah.
well, yeah, I'd like to try something fresh. Maybe I can combine them with the metal sound and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is from Ski. Any courses, base, advanced knowledge you would recommend a K-pop top liner should know or master?
That's very difficult question because it's really hard to describe in just a couple of sentences, I think. I mean, you need
Yeah.
to experience more to become a master of top lining and stuff, and you need to uh, write enough songs to get to know which is working, which is not.
Write more.
Mm, mm. Okay, write more.
Yeah.
Yeah, write more.
Yeah.
Yeah, just use it like write
Just
more,
write
then
more.
you'll know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shalil, we all know that the
Yep.
wrong sound choice can destroy a track. It is sometimes
Mm.
difficult to be sure to make the right choice. How do you make sure that the preset sample is perfect, and especially that it won't sound old-fashioned when the song is released several months later?
That I think often happens when you get buried in your own world while writing or producing. You get to think on like this small stuff overly. That is really, really bad habit for me. You know, it's well not gonna end. I mean, if you really start to think like that, you know, there's nothing perfect if you start to think that way. So I would suggest to take a break and maybe a couple hours, just go out and try to see some sunlights and come back and listen to it again. Try not to think too much, and maybe it should be best if you think of yourself as a third person, not yourself, and try to see the big picture of it and not focusing on that particular element. That will be the answer, I think. Or you can ask yourself a question like, how many stars you're gonna give to this particular sound? Do you like it? How much do you like it? Like, if it is like 3 stars out of 5, then you ditch it.
All right, so this one's from Hollow. When you create,
Hmm.
how do you deal with the fact that each time you work, it may not always be your best? We're always trying to improve and grow, but that puts a pressure that each piece has got to be better than the last. Worst case scenario, it becomes a hindering insecurity. What would you tell yourself, others, to convince yourself out of this?
Try not to be under any pressure when you're making music. I mean, it can be good, it can be bad. I mean, because we're all human and we're not AI generators. So just trust trust yourself, trust your sense. I mean, if it's not good enough, then maybe you'll do better next time. So what's the pressure, right?
This one's from Yasha. How do I get
Hmm.
involved in songwriting camps?
First of all, you should be really, really good. And second of all, you should have a great publisher who can introduce to one. I think that's it. Or
Easy.
you should have a great career, like you have like a really, really great number one song. and everybody want to invite you to it.
Forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, is Francisco Freire Sabaj any kind of ritual when you start producing?
Okay, ritual, is it mean that some sort of witchcraft I do for every session?
I guess technically that is kind of a ritual. What's
Okay,
your routine in the morning before starting whenever you write?
Well, I try to drink hot beer mixed with ketchup with a lot of salt in it, and try to do some naked dance in front of a mirror before I go into a session.
I run naked in the street for a few laps and then come back in.
Yep, kind of like that. Will make you a hit song maker. Well, honestly, there's nothing much that I do. I just try to eat healthy and just wash my face in a decent way and try to brush my teeth and get into a session.
Coffee.
That's what I do every time. Man. Yeah, coffee. Coffee is very important. Yeah. I always Starbucks is no-go every time. It should be better quality coffee to make yourself up every time.
What coffee are you drinking then? What if Starbucks is
actually it's like a Taiwanese brands. It's like a very local store that roast their beans themselves, and it's really, really good. It's really high class. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. This one's from Fars. I started producing last year during quarantine, and I really want to produce music as a profession in the future. Do you have any words of encouragement for an inspiring producer like me? Because honestly, I feel sad, and every time I listen to the tracks I produced, because they sound really bad when I re-listen to them after a few days, and then little note on the side, I love your works on LOONA, and the reason why I took this music hobby seriously is because of those pieces of work.
Well, that's very glad to hear that I influencing someone's life like that. I will very appreciate it. And that kind of thing happens to everyone, right? When they start their first music, and then I still remember my very first song that I made in my DAW. It sucked. I still think it was very, very, very sucked, and it was embarrassing. I don't remember why I sent it to people. But well, if you work hard enough, you're gonna get there. So you don't be too much depressed or having any stress out of it. Just keep on doing it. If you like it, you'll get there. I mean, of course, it's a matter of the talent, but I mean, believe in yourself and try to find out.
Definitely. I remember that stage so well, man. I remember that so well, because I think the most important point when you're starting out is to have fun, experiment, try new things, and as long as you're happy with it, that's the most important thing. And I think, like, if you just keep going, like Dan said, it's just, you're only gonna get better if you keep going, right? But I remember my first songs, and
consistency is the key of every career, I think. Doesn't matter which industry you're in. I mean, you need to just keep on doing what you do and get better. That would be the only key to be successful.
Angel Chilima, how could we get in contact with A&Rs that pitch to K-pop if we are independent artists?
By independent artists, do you mean an independent songwriters? And I think you should call Melogram. And because that's what we do. Yeah. But if you mean that you're just an artist trying to become a K-pop star or anything like that, I'm afraid there's nothing I can help you with it. But maybe you can apply for some auditions held by each labels. I mean, many labels nowadays doing it overseas very actively, so maybe you can easily find those opportunities.
Yeah, they got NCT, haven't they? Hollywood. They're forming.
Yep. With MGM, that's what I heard.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? That's a huge collaboration, absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dan. If people want to find you on social media, where should they find you?
I only do Instagram. I have Facebook page, but I mostly never look at it. So yeah, it should be Instagram.
All right, cool. I'll put a link in the description box below to check out Melogram and Dan's Instagram. Dan, thanks so much for doing this interview. Really appreciate it. Taking the time out.
Thank you so much for this interview. I had really great fun.
Yeah, me too, man. And yeah, hopefully we can do more like this, and if not, we can share some videos in the
absolutely.
Future. Yeah. Awesome.
It's my first time. Did I do good?
Yeah, you did great, man. It was awesome.